movements in the global markets, Asian markets. You had Hang Seng down close to about 500 points. European markets too are trading with cuts of close to about 0.5% as we speak. Plus, you've got some nervousness ahead of the Q2 GDP, which will be out later in the evening. Then the auto sales numbers, which will trickle in over the weekend. But in case you just tuned in to the markets, the big story in the last half an hour has been Indiabulls Housing Finance. That stock has corrected nearly 25% from the top of the trading session. And the news is that the PIL, which was filed in the Delhi High Court, the announcement or the verdict on that has been pushed forward to the 28th of February, which means the uncertainty lingers on for 3 more months. And statements from the company to the Delhi High Court, and I'm reading, I'm unable to get a single rupee from financiers due to the dependency on the PIL. Business is shut down, not able to advance loans to entities in need of credit. So basically, business seems to have come to a standstill for Indiabulls Housing Finance in light of the PIL. And this uncertainty is going to extend itself for the next 3 months, because now the Delhi High Court will hear the next hearing on it will be on the 28th of February. So I guess the street is worried what is going to happen.
Absolutely.
If there is no business from Indiabulls Housing Finance, does it turn into an NPA?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're worried about Indiabulls Housing Finance. And importantly, after this verdict, yes, Indiabulls Housing Finance has seen a sharp drop. But some of those banking names that are flashing for you on the screen as well are seeing big selling pressure. So you see Bank of Baroda. That has a large exposure to the group. There's a McQuery note that came a month or so ago that had said that Yes Bank, Bank of Baroda, pull up the intraday chart. See, Bank of Baroda had reacted as and when Indiabulls Housing Finance did fall. So you have IndusInd Bank as well that's moved lower. Yes Bank, well, there's another news that is expected post-market hours. So that stock's not really, correcting as we speak. But IndusInd Bank as well. These are banks that have a large exposure to Indiabulls Housing Finance. And on the back of that, some of these stocks, the picture is quite clear. If you look at Bank of Baroda as well as IndusInd Bank, both of them have seen a sharp knock, as and when this news did come out as well. So yes, Indiabulls Housing Finance is under pressure, but what it's done is it's dented a couple of these banking names, and the Bank Nifty now is down nearly around 260 points odd. So keep an eye out on a few of these banking names as well as Indiabulls Housing Finance.
All right, let's run you through all the top headlines we're tracking at this hour. Weak global cues in anticipation of the second quarter GDP data keeps the market under pressure. The key indices slip nearly a percentage point each. The mid-caps fare a tad better.
And all eyes on the GDP data due to be released later this evening. A CNBC TV 18 poll pegs the growth for the second quarter at 4.64%. But buzz from New Delhi indicates that the number could be as low as 4%.
L&T Finance's gain as Goldman Sachs upgrades the stock to a buy. Indiabulls Housing Finance slides 12% after the Delhi High Court refused to pass any interim order on the company's plea to continue normal business.
And telecom stocks, they rise ahead of the price hike this weekend. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that tariffs are expected to be up anywhere between 8 to around 10%, up to 25 to around 30%.
Yes Bank saw 7% this week ahead of a board meeting to finalize fundraising plans. Later today, the bank looks to raise $1.2 billion. This is Your Stocks, a show where we address all the queries that are coming in from our viewers. To answer all those queries, we're joined by Nirav Chheda as well as Shahina Mukaddam. Good afternoon, Shahina, as well as Nirav, and thanks so much for joining in. Before we could take the first caller, which is on Bharat Forge, Mr. Vishal Puleskar is calling in. Actually, Shahina, I wanted to get your views on Indiabulls Housing Finance. What happens from here on? If you have the stock, should you just sell out? Because there's so much uncertainty.
Well, no, I don't think so. I don't think you should sell out at current levels and at the current space and time that we are, because I think the news developments that are taking place, I think are pretty positive. So while I see the stock stabilizing for some time, because it has run up a lot, I think there is still another 15 to 20% upside if you take a slightly longer term period, because the reason why the stock fell so much is sort of now turned on its head. So why should an investor sell at current levels?
Okay, all right. Then, so that's the view that's coming in there on Indiabulls Housing Finance. By the way, to put it into a context, the stock had seen a sharp increase from the low point. It had gone to around 200 rupees, and from there, they'd see a bounce. But unfortunately, the last half hour odd, you had that news that came in there that they were telling the courts that they're unable to raise some money. And on the back of that, they're unable to do any kind of business. And now, in fact, it's going to be heard only in February. So that time lag is something that the street is quite concerned about, and the stock is even moving lower as we speak. But let's get our caller who is joining us now. We have Mr. Vishal who calls us from Australia with a query. He has investments, I believe, in Bharat Forge. Hi, sir. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, tell us, what is your query?
Yeah, hi. So I've actually invested into Bharat Forge about 2 years ago, and bought around 61 shares at 60 per share. So I'm need advice on whether I should keep investing or average it out, or should I just get exit and book losses and go to the similar script something.
Okay, all right. Just hold on to that. Let's get in Nirav. I think we Nirav, what would your view be on Bharat Forge?
Yeah. See, from the early 2018, this stock has come down from 750 odd. Finally, it has broken out above the trend line, which was going on from 2018 onwards. The breakout has come around the 440 odd levels, but I'd advise you to average it at current levels and hold it with a stop loss of 420, which is a very good support for this stock. I believe the stock is likely to move up towards the 600, 620 odd level. So if you average it here, you'll be in profit once it comes to 600. This is a strong resistance on the upside. I would advise you should be booking profits around the 600 odd levels.
Okay, Shahina, on Bharat Forge, you actually have a sell call. Everyone's been saying the global equity markets are doing well. Developed markets are doing well in particular. Bharat Forge has that exposure to North America. So don't you think that from here on the downside could be limited on Bharat Forge?
Yeah, I agree the downside could be limited. But if you go with what the management told us at the end of the second quarter numbers, that the second half is going to be worse than the first half. And the major problem that we saw in the numbers, which of course is declining turnover, declining profitability, is that the CV market, especially domestic, is taking a huge hit. And that's because of the BS6 norms and the inventory that's still to be sort of sorted out, the issues out there. So I think there is a time when one can average it, but I don't think the time is today. But I also don't see it moving down substantially.
Should he sell or just stay invested now?
Well, though I have a sell given a 6-month period, but because I don't see an upside, I see it underperforming some of the other stocks. But he can hold it now. I don't see any reason to go outright and sell, because there are some news that we are hearing that the US market, especially for the truck segment, is improving for Bharat Forge. But I don't think overall that is going to push up the overall profits and revenues to an extent where it can become a buy as of today. So I don't see too much of a downside, so he can hold, but don't average right away. Wait. Take your call, wait for the next quarter, and then probably you can average, you'd probably get better levels to average, or even current levels. So I think the time factor would play out to wait out this buy call.
Vishal, that's the advice coming for you. You'll have to take a call whether you want to just stay invested for the longer term or perhaps use this decline as an opportunity to average out. Two conflicting calls coming in on Bharat Forge for you. Our next query is an SMS. Mr. Jawahar Kannan has written to us from Chennai. He has 1,000 shares of L&T Finance Holding, which he's bought at the price of 97 2 years ago. He's a long-term investor. He wants to know whether he should hold on or sell it. Nirav, just in the last 3 months or so, L&T Finance Holding is playing that catch-up trade to the other NBFCs. It started moving well. Do you see it headed higher?
Yeah. See, I'll give you a little longer term view as he wants a longer view. It has broken out above the 102 levels, and there has been a price volume breakout at that. The volumes have been very, very high even in this week. So I believe this stock is now, going to move up towards the 170, 180 odd levels. This is 1 year, 1.5 year down the line, but the trend has become positive for this stock, and that was very important. It was moving in a lower top, lower bottom bottom formation, and now that has changed to a higher top, higher bottom. So whenever, such changes happen on a longer term chart, the stock starts to, fly up. And that is what has happened to L&T Finance. A lot of open interest on the positive side has also, come into the stock. So I believe it is likely to move up. So he should be trailing now, his stop loss to around 100, and, wait for those targets of 170, 180 coming in a year's time.
Okay, all right. So let's slip into a short break on that note. But here are some of the top stories on CNBC-TV18.com today. India's economic growth is expected to decline to below 5% in the second quarter of FY20 due to weak consumer demand, slowing factory activities, and negative impacts of the prolonged monsoon. Another important story, the shift to a new base year for calculating India's national accounts is likely to be delayed as a committee of experts has recommended that 2020-21 as the new base year. And what are the 5 words that push the promise of lower MAT by 1 year? You can log on to CNBC-TV18.com to read about all the details on these and several other stories.
Natural gas from ExxonMobil, a cleaner burning fuel that can help power Delhi and is also one of the ways to reduce emissions and improve air quality. ExxonMobil.
Tap to pay with Visa. Just like that. No PIN or signature required up to ₹2,000.
Breakthroughs in science demand exceptional expertise and constant innovation in the pursuit of life-changing results. From discovery to delivery, scientists and research professionals worldwide trust Avantor to provide the mission-critical products, services, and solutions they need to move their research and discovery forward. This is our purpose. This is our mission.
Once there was a pretty little girl who lived in a house that had a little garden. Bungalows. They shared grown-up dreams, secrets, memories, every lovely day to go down in history. Forever and ever, everywhere they go.
This is Vicky calling. Term plan कब लोगे darling?
ये खर्चा एक टेंशन है, मेरे फायदे का नो मेंशन है।
ये पॉलिसी एकदम न्यू है ब्रो, मंथली इनकम फॉर यू है।
यानी जियो तो पैसा अपना, साथी सेफ है फैमिली का सपना।
ईगल लाइफ का नया आइटम इंश्योरेंस प्लान, अब प्रोटेक्शन के साथ मंथली इनकम। नो टेंशन।
Okay, all right. We're moving to the low point of the day yet again. So the Nifty Bank is now down more than 300 points on. And these Z Group related stocks are under pressure. So Z Entertainment has moved to the low point of the day. And Dish TV actually in the last half hour odd, the fall has been, quite steep out there. And more importantly, the volumes have been high as well. So Z Entertainment is falling. But just take a look at Dish TV. That one, in fact, is down nearly around 8% odd. So keep an eye out on both these two stocks. Well, let's get to our next query. We have Kushal who writes to us from Mumbai. He holds around 158 shares of Indian hotels at around 158 rupees. He's holding this apparently for the last 6 months. Medium-term investor wants to know whether or not to hold or sell it. I think it's 150 shares odd at 158 rupees. What's your take on it? Do you believe that he should be holding on to it or should he sell?
He should hold. It's a low beta stock, very strong balance sheet, low debt equity, just about 0.5, and the profitability is improving, and EBITDA margins of around 18% are healthy. So I would hold.
And Nirav, would you recommend a hold on Indian hotels?
Yep. See, I believe it is made a double top kind of a formation, and it is moving very slowly as well. So, it is better to shift into lemon tree at this point of time, because I believe there is a breakout there, and, lemon tree can move up towards the 75 odd level. So getting 20-25% there. I'm not very sure if Indian Hotel will really move up above the 160 levels, which is a very strong resistance on the upside. It can first, come down towards the 140, 130 odd levels, make a base and then move up. So, shifting to lemon tree is a better option at this point of time.
Okay, you can stay invested or perhaps shift to lemon tree. Our next query is from Satya Kumar, who's written to us from Bhopal. He holds 45,000 shares of Dish TV, which he's bought at a price of 18 rupees. So he's making a considerable amount of loss, nearly 1.4 lakh rupees. He's a long-term investor and he wants to know whether to hold or sell. Shahina, the fortunes of Dish TV in a way are tied to Zee Entertainment and what happens there. We've seen a pretty, it was a prolonged sale for Zee Entertainment, but that is done. What are the prospects for Dish TV? Because he's making quite a bit of a loss now.
Yeah, I think if anybody wanted to get out of the stock, it was much earlier. At current levels, while of course we've seen, this huge fall today, but I think this is now more news driven because there are talks with, we hear that Airtel may probably be a suitor. And so if I look at the possibility of it happening and link it to the current price, I think it's absolutely doable at the current price. So I would hold the stock, because if you see the enterprise value, it's currently around at 6,000 crores, around 5,500, 6,000 crores. Half of it is debt, half of it is net worth. And if you see the revenue, the turnover for FY19 itself was around that levels of around 6,000 crores. So I definitely think it's a doable property, and so I would hold. But of course, it's it's very an investor will be very unhappy to see such huge movements and this loss. But there's no point in selling at current levels.
Okay, all right then. So that's the view coming in on Dish TV. By the way, the markets have moved a little bit lower actually in the last few minutes. Dish TV is a stock that we are telling you. Now it's down close to around 10%. So just keep an eye out on that stock, and other stocks as well that are otherwise holding in the green. They have come in for selling. So HCC was up nearly around 7-8% odd. Now that's moved into the red as well. And from the frontliners, that's from the Nifty itself, you have Adani Ports as well, which had a lot of large trades today. That stock is giving up some of those gains, and Hindustan Unilever as well is now down close to around 2.5%. A lot of that fall has happened in the last 30 minutes odd. But we have Mrs. Manisha who writes to us from Nagpur. Let's get her holdings up on the screen. She has around 200 shares of HPCL at around 301 rupees. She's a short-term investor, wants to know whether or not to hold on or to sell. Nirav, coming across to you, what would your advice be on HPCL?
Yeah. See, the short-term trend for HPCL is still positive. It is making a higher top, higher bottom formation. So I believe she can hold on to her positions, but keep a strong stop loss at 275. It is a strong support area. Once that breaks, probably a lot of selling will be attracted to this stock, and the stock can go down towards the 240, 230 odd level. So, at this point of time, 275, it's only about 10 rupees from here. That is a strong stop loss. Hold with that.
Okay, if you pull up a 6-month chart of HPCL, you would see that it is trading in a range of about 320 on the way up. It went there twice, but the low was close to about 226. Shahina, what would you recommend with HPCL? While it initially started rallying with BPCL when the privatization news came to the fore, but in the last 3 months, it slipped a bit.
Actually, I would be a seller in HPCL. I think it will underperform the overall market going forward. If one does want to be in this space, I think Reliance is a better bet. Because if you see HPCL, I think it's going to be impacted by lower GRMs going forward. There is some pressure that we hear about. And I think the merger with ONGC, too many issues, there will be private sector competition. So I would stay away from HPCL.
Okay, all right then. So that's the view coming in there on HPCL. And I think a final couple of queries for today. We have Abhishek Mohanty, who writes to us and has a query on Yes Bank. He holds around 350 shares of Yes Bank, bought it at a price of around 130 rupees a few months ago. Medium-term investor, wants to know whether or not to hold or to sell. Shaina, what would your view be on Yes Bank? One would have thought at around 200 rupees the stock was basing out, then 150 rupees. This investor has gone ahead and bought it at around 130 rupees, but nearly lost 50% of what was invested. At around 70 rupees, they are meeting today to raise some funds. Do you believe that will be good enough?
Yeah, actually, I personally have invested. I think what happens is, as an analyst, we do look at the book value, right? And the book value for a bank improves as and when they raise money. I think Yes Bank is a good property in terms of they do have very strong presence in terms of their actual internet, the way they are handling their technology platform. Also, I think in terms of their retail book, it is growing. And I think they are able to raise funds. They have shown this in the past. And if they are able to put through the fundraise, which I think they should, the book value will be close to about 90 rupees. So I think to that extent, current levels, there's no need to sell. One can hold. I think if you're holding for a year and odds, you're likely to see that price. So I don't think the investor may get his price in the next 1 year, but definitely it should be closer. He should reduce his losses.
And Nirav, would you concur that he should stay invested and there could be better levels for Yes Bank?
Yeah, for once, I also hold the same view. So Shaina and I do concur here. Yes, definitely, I believe, one should be averaging Yes Bank at current levels. I think, it can move up towards the 100, 110 odd levels in the short to medium term. There has been a breakout around the 60, 62 odd level, so that should be a good stop loss. At this point of time, averaging and, keeping a stop loss of 60 would be advisable. If it goes down below 60, it can resume its previous trend, which was down. So keep, whatever you do, just keep a stop loss of 60.
Gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much for joining in. With that, it's curtains down on your stocks. But do remember to email us your queries. We'll address them with our experts. And stay tuned. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade.
Brought to you by Servo Futura G Plus from Indian Oil.
11B Paharpur Road, Surat 25.
Not 25, 26. Group Finance is now a part of Bandhan Bank. Ab India karega grah pravesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, आपकी यात्रा सुखद रहे, इसलिए अपने निजी सामान में वाघ बकरी इंस्टेंट टी पैक करना ना भूलें। बस वाघ बकरी इंस्टेंट टी में गर्म पानी मिलाओ और 1 मिनट में घर जैसी चाय का मजा उठाओ।
एकदम घर जैसी।
पैक किया क्या?
ये क्या? 1 हफ्ते की ट्रिप के लिए पूरी अलमारी पैक कर ली।
1 नहीं 3 हफ्ते यूरोप में।
और पैसे
मैनेज हो गए।
ठीक है भाई, करो खर्चा।
मॉम, खर्चा तो मैं किश्तों में चुका दूंगी, पर लाइफ थोड़ी किश्तों में जीऊंगी।
पिछले 100 सालों से ऐसी हर अच्छी शुरुआत का साथ दे रहे हैं हम। यूनियन बैंक ऑफ इंडिया।
Guys, we still need to find a hotel.
No panic. I have Trivago on my phone. Trivago scans hotel deals from the major booking sites, so you can find the best deal for your favorite hotel. Hotel Trivago.
थोड़ा एडजस्ट। थोड़ा।
अब नो एडजस्ट, क्योंकि मैंने आवास के आसान होम लोन्स के साथ लिया है एक नया घर, हम सबके लिए।
आवास फाइनेंशियल्स, सपने आपके साथ हमारा।
This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18.
Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. in association with SMC, Moneywise, BeWise, and NG Motor India.
Asian markets have opened up mixed on the final trading session of November.
Today is going to be an important day for Yes Bank in anticipation of the large fundraising plan.
The digital spend in all industries will go up, because this is also a way that you can increase your productivity.
The market's base has moved up now. Nifty's base has moved up to around, say, 11,950 to 12,000. That's the 20-day moving average.
CLS has written a note today morning saying that the affidavit clearly reads that the 5 loans given by India Real Estate to various groups are either been repaid or stranded.
Slightly soft start. Nifty at about 19-20 points lower.
Expectations of that final kind of tax cut for individuals, I think the markets will kind of hit our targets of 12,500 for Nifty.
Maharashtra is also going to see a scheme of direct income support to farmers.
Turning out to be a day where we are seeing some amount of profit booking.
It's going to start from 8 to 10% and it will go up to 25 to 30%.
The market is down 105, but the stock which is reacting quite violently is Indiabulls Housing.
Okay, it's been a very sharp reversal for the market today. First day of new series, last trading day of the month. And after a spectacular series, November series, the start of December series has not been too good. But can you blame the market after the kind of relentless run that it has had? Also, a bit of a Friday factor perhaps. This is Closing Bell. I'm Anuj and with me is Surbhi. Hi Surbhi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. Yes, quite a change from yesterday. But really, can you blame the market? Because for context, I just want to pull up some of the global indices as well. Look at the way Asia closed out today. You've had cuts of around 1.5% to about 2% depending on which market you're looking at. Look at Europe right now. Europe is also trading with losses, not as large as Asia, but generally it's been a risk-off sort of a day across the world. And as you're saying, it's Friday. So should we read this just as, the market digesting this big rally?
And on top of that, you add that we'll have the GDP number. Yeah. And I think the markets know that it will be 4.5% or perhaps below that. But will it be 4%? So I think, and having put a rally behind you, normally, Surbhi, this is the kind of first day screen which should not perturb you too much. Because if normally what happens is after trending series, the next series, when it starts, it either makes the high of the series or low of the series on that day itself, on the first day. So if you are in an uptrend, I refuse to believe that we have made the high of the series. And if that is the case, then whatever is today's low will become sacrosanct as we move from Monday. And I think in that sense, it will give you a very nice reference point. Also, what's not helped markets much today is that some of the recent outperformers have started to decline once again. Of course, we'll discuss Indiabulls in length, but others as well, whether it's a Yes Bank, RBL Bank, or, some of the steel stocks. So there's a clear sense of profit taking that you have seen in today's trade.
Oh, absolutely. But, I do want to focus on Indiabulls because it's been dramatic. I mean, the day for that stock, it started off with a 10% gain. Yeah. Now it's down, what, I think 14%, 15%. Yeah, almost 15% right now. So it was always very clear that, the route as far as, courts are concerned is not fully cleared up as yet, right?
Yes, and that is why this is not a stock for everyone. There's Yes Bank. I mean, this is for brave heart, and these are the kind of stocks in which you have to map your risk reward very carefully. And you can't be buying after a 30% rally, right? So, what in particular I think has gone against the Indiabulls stock today is the fact that it's been postponed to 28th February. That's what, good 3 months from here. And on top of that, Indiabulls Group is telling the court that the business is suffering, they're not getting any money to lend because of this PIL. And on that, there's been a refusal to sort of give any stay. I think that is what the market didn't like. And on top of that, there was this big short covering rally yesterday. So that explains this move. I think Yes Bank is very perplexing because that's fallen about 4%. Intraday, it's fallen quite a bit. I think the market's perhaps a bit worried about what would be the size, the quality of book perhaps, whatever it is. So that's why, you're seeing this kind of move on Yes Bank. And what has happened in both Yes Bank and Indiabulls is that it's a lot of aggressive shorting because, again, futures have flipped into a discount. Yesterday, Indiabulls futures had turned into finally some premium. Now if you see Indiabulls futures are at a discount and Yes Bank's futures are trading at a discount. Yes Bank's futures trading at, you know, 2 rupee discount. Yes Bank in spot market is down 1%, in the futures market is down 4%. So, you know, there it is, it's down 1.2% in cash. There's Indiabulls Housing, but if you see Yes Bank's future plate, Yes Bank is down about 4% in futures. So, yeah, there it is. There's a discount opening up on Yes Bank, which is telling you that there's been some aggressive shorting today on both these stocks.
Okay, well, we will discuss these and many other stocks. Let's tell you what's lined up on closing bell today this afternoon. The market is under pressure ahead of the important Q2 GDP print, which will be released later this evening. Key indices right now down almost 1%, mid-caps faring slightly better. Telecom stocks in focus as new tariffs are set to kick in. We're expecting a hike to be announced on Sunday. Important to watch out would be Yes Bank's board meet outcome. All of these stocks coming up on our market discussion, which is lined up with fundamental voices, SB Tulsian of sbtulsian.com, Deepan Mehta of Alexa Equities, and IIFL's Abhimanyu Sofat. Which are the key changes BNP Paribas is making to its portfolio, and what is their call now that the market is at a record high? What is their 2019 end target? These and other interesting points discussed with Abhiram L. Swarupu of BNP Paribas India. He joins us a little later on the show. And of course, as always, trading ideas and stock calls coming up with Prakash Kaba and Manas Jaiswal.
Okay, how should you position yourself in this last hour of trade? We have Prakash Kaba and Manas Jaiswal now joining us with closing strategies. Good afternoon, Prakash. It's been a weak day. What do you make of it, and what would be your calls?
Yes, weekday is expected because on a higher time frame basis, we achieved our target. So we must be correcting or have, I wouldn't say correcting, I would say we must take a pause in this zone, a breather, or whatever we may call it. But looks like this is the place for a consolidation, for a further up move. If it takes out today's high or yesterday's high on next time, then perhaps we'll see a few 100 points higher from here. But so far looks like we are into range bound situation. But for the day now, looks like a bottom is made. We could see an up move from here. If someone is an aggressive buyer for an last 1 hour, I would buy it here. Since I'm on the show, I'm not buying it, but yes, this time I would buy it, yes.
Okay, Manas Jaiswal is also with us. Manas, good afternoon. Are you trading the indices today? If so, what are the levels, and what about the stock calls?
Surabhi, I feel that this correction is a great buying opportunity because the overall trend is quite positive. Nifty is making higher tops and higher bottoms on the charts, and Nifty has a lot of support near to 19,975 mark. So I think here on this correction you can create long position, keep your stop loss below 11,975, and I think Nifty has potential to come in the range of 12,250 to 12,300. So I'm quite optimistic about Nifty, and I feel that positionally definitely you can trade long in Nifty. So stock specific, 2 buy recommendation and 1 sell. So first one is a buy call on Karur Vysya Bank, where stock has given a confirmation of higher tops and higher bottoms. Stock has broken its 100-day moving average with higher volumes. So now the next target comes near to 200-day moving average, which is placed near to 68 rupees. Take a long position here, stop loss should be around 59 rupees. Second is a buy call on NBCC because this is a clear sign of reversal. Stock has already broken the resistance of 38 rupees on the daily charts. So here you can play for a bounce back. Here the target would be around 44 rupees. Stop loss should be 36 rupees. And last one is a sell call on Tata Motors DVR because Tata Motors DVR has broken this key support of 72 rupees on the daily charts. And now stock has started making lower tops and lower bottoms. So here my target would be around 67 rupees. Stop loss should be 74 rupees.
Okay, well, looks like the low for the day has been made, and I tell you what, look at the Bank Nifty futures intraday chart. The first big bar that we have seen, and that's what the market does at times. You know, big dips and collapses get bought into, and the last bar is the 100 plus bar on the Nifty futures and on the Bank Nifty futures. Even on the Nifty, there is some buying, but it looks more pronounced clearly on the Bank Nifty. So it's really bouncing back now, and rather sharply now. Prakash, I think we still have to take your stock calls.
Yeah, exactly. I think Lupin looks like a good buy from here. Very good chance Lupin can climb to around 820 zones. Stop below 800 should be fine. And Escorts is a sell. Very good chance we could see a slide to around 620 zones. Stop about 642.
Okay, we have SB Tulsian of sbtulsian.com and Deepan Mehta of Alexa Equities now joining us. Good afternoon, Ms. Tulsian. Your thoughts first on this immediate reversal that we have seen in Indiabulls today. Is it more because the kind of rally that it had yesterday, or the fact that it gets postponed to 3 months and it creates fresh bit of uncertainty?
See, Anuj, in fact, we need to understand the judicial pronouncements, because market yesterday thought that the clean sheet will be given. It doesn't happen in that way. Take, for instance, I'm going by the news lines which we have been relying upon. MCA having filed the affidavit in respect to the 5 companies that there are no irregularities. Obviously, the lot of references have been made to MCA, and MCA is the final authority, which I have said yesterday also, of the SFIO and all sort of things coming there under their jurisdiction. So because the court has observed that no serious things are found, because now there are multiple proceedings within this Delhi High Court perjury notice having issued against the counsel, maybe that advocate, and the things are seen to be now handled all in toto. Because court has not found anything negative, they have coolly adjourned this matter to 28th February. Now take it from me, even on 28th February, if we don't find anything adverse, or maybe some positivity comes in, that maybe in respect to the other financial transactions also there are no this thing, you may again find the matter even getting adjourned by 6 months also, because this pill will become infectious. Either the petitioner will withdraw the pill in the meantime, or it will, unless until we find anything negative, till then the court will not take up this matter, because these are the proceedings, which goes on a very long basis. The adjournments will keep coming in. As I said that by 28th February, if we don't see anything negative observations coming in from the MCA findings, then probably even matter can get adjourned again further, because. And so this should be taken as a no negative is seen as a positive for the stock. And I don't know how that, because you made the multiple prayers in the petition where the Indiabull Housing must have made, and they must have said that this all social media messages are seen to be damaging their business interests. Nothing is preventing them to carry out their business. They have been carrying on their business maybe at a low scale because of the adverse news being carried out by this one. So maybe any subsequent development in this interim period of exactly 3 months, if for any reason petitioner withdraws this thing, or maybe some kind of other findings, adverse finding if not found by MCA, will be seen positive. So in fact, I am not taking this. It was just the over expectation or over exuberance. Maybe yesterday also I have said that the large portion of this rally is seen to be because of the short covering. Yesterday it was the expiry. Obviously all the shorts needs to get squared off, and in fact people today also gone overboard. So I am not worried. 300 is seen to be as a base for the stock, and if you don't have anything negative even by the natural gradual merits of the company, can make the stock to move to about 400 rupees in the next couple of months by the time we see the Q3 numbers.
Okay, all right, that's a call on Indiabulls Housing Finance, clearly the most volatile stock of the day. Let me also welcome Deepan Mehta into the conversation. Deepan, the other part of the market that has been extremely excited, obviously, is all the future group stocks thanks to the Amazon deal. What did you make of it, and would you look at buying any of them?
See, I think the deal had been in the making for a long time, and it's going to be an absolute it was a life-saving deal as far as the future group was concerned, because this way they'll be able to reorganize the business and get future retail going. I think that they need these funds in the company, and on a long-term basis they'll be able to reduce the cost as far as future retail is concerned and address some of the other issues, especially pledge loans of the promoter. But the problem really in future retail is the fact that the performance last 2-3 quarters has been disappointing, and it has been way below some of its peer group companies like Avenue Supermarket or even Reliance Retail for that matter. So, while these moves are in the right direction, the basic problem I think with future retail and why it trades at a discount to its peer group is that the underlying business is not growing fast enough. And I think unless that particular issue doesn't get resolved, you may still see future retail underperforming its peer group companies. But nonetheless, it's a positive kind of a decision and event for shareholders of future retail, and maybe from this point on you can see the stock gradually move up.
Okay, fair point. Mr. Tulsian, the other stock of the day is of course Yes Bank. Are you surprised by the sudden decline today in the stock?
See, Anuj, I think market is playing little cautious because you have many data points lined up today. You will be having Q2 GDP in the evening, 5:30. Yes Bank capital raising plan will get to know by the evening, maybe after market closes. You have weekend. and then you have the auto sales numbers. Market will be responding to those auto sales numbers on Monday, 2nd December. By the time, we will be seeing the major of the auto sales number. And in fact, tractor sales, I've said that generally the September and October are seen to be the best month. I'm not saying that the November months are not good, but November always witnessed the half the sales of the October as seen by the Escorts and Mahindra & Mahindra. So don't expect the super numbers from Escorts. Maybe the month